Hey, hello, I'm Kråkan, also known as Corvus Cornix, and welcome to Yacc, yet another Crowcast where I pick a game, I play it for a week, and then I talk about it. This week's game is Dead Secret from 2018, and it's a PS4 VR game, but you can play it without the VR features. It's a point-and-click horror game, but it's listed on the PSN store as an adventure game, so Developed by Robotic Invaders and published by Frame Interactive Studios LLC. And also there will be spoilers up ahead, just so you know, but first, little backstory. This game was obviously on the PSN store and it looked interesting, and it was cheap and it's kind of Halloween kind of inspired, so I went with that game this week. And as you start up the game, you're prompted to select between the two play modes, flat mode and VR mode, and I went with flat mode because I don't have a VR set. And for those who actually played this on the PS4 with the VR set, you actually move the camera around with your head, so it's kind of weird because you popped into these sequences when you have to read like long documents, and you normally when you read a document you read with your eyes, but you have to move your whole head to see like the whole document, and I think that would be uncomfortable in the long run. So as the gameplay starts out, it's the year 1965 and you're a young female investigator / reporter in the middle of nowhere investigating a house because there's been a murder. So there are 4 suspects: the ex-wife, the errand boy, the assistant, and a former colleague, if I got that right. So you move the cursor over things of interest and it gets highlighted. And also during the game you pick up notes, and every time something of interest comes into view, it's jotted down in like a journal. And this journal is a bit complex to navigate. It has a lot of things in it. And this game also has a lot of collectibles, so it can be quite a mess to navigate. And for some reason when you enter the first room, there's like a hallway mirror, right? So the female character, she has glasses, black hair, and her arm is in an actual cast, so she probably hurt herself. And it's not quite clear what happened. I really wasn't paying attention at this point, I must admit. So in order to progress to the crime scene in the next room, you need a key, which is in a drawer. So this first area acts as like a tutorial on how to use things. And the brilliant thing about this game, because it was made in VR, is that when you interact with something, I think you press the X button, a text will pop out aligning with that object. So if this were playing VR, it actually makes sense for the text about the bookcase to be like in line with the bookcase, which is a neat little detail. So I went into the next room and I learned about the inventory system. So you press the square button and it brings up all kinds of options like objects, documents, and all the things you collect. So I picked up a pair of scissors because in the previous room in the hallway, right in front of the mirror, there is a parcel or a package that needs scissors to open it. So I went there and I got my first jump scare. So this game is not so very well polished. It's a simple little project. But when I went to the mirror, something was reflected behind me, and it was this weird guy in a mask, I think it's called a kabuki mask, like a theater mask. And I turned around, and of course I turned around and it was gone. Like that Markiplier meme, when I turned around, and then I turned around. So then I went back into the crime scene, and this game is a bit Japanese inspired, or the person that was murdered, I should say, has a lot of connections to Japan, and that's actually part of the puzzle up ahead. So there's this, documents hint at this as well. There's a globe on like the side near the window, and there is a map on the wall which says X marks the spot, and the X is over Japan obviously. So you rotate the globe a bit and you push the button. Japan is obvious. The country of Japan is a button. That sounded weird to say, but you open up the globe and you find a little puzzle box, and this puzzle is about a certain like combinations. You're supposed to pick in like the what do you call it, like different kind of directions of the compass, like east, west, or north or something, but obviously one of those direction like puzzle pieces are missing, so you have to find that. And I also picked up some documents that was lying on the sofa under one of the pillow casings, and for some reason when I entered the room the TV was on, and it wasn't turned on before. So I decided to try something different. I went back into the hallway and I left the house. And normally at the beginning of this adventure investigation you couldn't leave the apartment because you needed to investigate, but now you could. So I got the ending C, and the endings range in this game from A to D, and there's like an S ending. So I didn't actually solve anything, but I could go back to the main menu and just try continue, and so I could just continue where I left off. So that hidden puzzle piece for the puzzle box was actually hidden in the bookcase. So there was this thing, you got like a book, a random book, and you try to place it along with the other volumes corresponding to that series, and something was behind the books. So that was the puzzle piece, and I managed to get the puzzle open, and I got a lens. So I don't know if this is a reference to Japanese culture or not, but you're supposed to get 2 lenses, and you put them in like a monkey mask. And this monkey mask reveals the truth, like in Zelda, the lens of truth. When you put it on, you can see things that are out of this world and will give you some hint, and it adds this bluish white filter to everything. And then there was some weird sound at the window, so of course I have to check it out because I am an investigator, and I got my second jump scare. So this black bird, probably a crow or a raven, just scared me. So it's not a secret, I'm a big scaredy cat when it comes to horror movies and horror games in general. And but for some reason I like to watch let's plays of others playing horror games, because I mean, I know the jump scare is coming, but it's like a thing I have to watch till the end to see what's, plaguing this, player or character, whatever, in game. So I don't know, it's just a thing. I like to be scared, but I also don't like being scared, if that makes sense. And then I picked up some more items and documents, and there was like a transitioning scene where you have to do a quiz. So this game has a lot of reading, a lot of documents and papers that you pick up and whatnot. So I don't like reading all that much, but this is just an information dump. So you read through all the documents, and at the end of like a scene, there's like a quiz, as I said, and you have to like get all the details right. So who is this woodcutter man? This like the murderer, or at this point we think it's that person, and then we go through the other characters like the ex-wife, and you gather up information on what they think about the husband, and the daughter is involved in the errand boy and whatnot. And if you answer wrong on this quiz, there's not like a real penalty, but you have to like get it down to I think you actually have like multiple tries to get it right. And then the game prompted me to go upstairs, and at the end of the stairway at the top, you are selected or given the choice to go like left or right, and I went left. And when something like that becomes a thing, something is gonna grab you or something is gonna happen. But I went to the left and I found a safe. So this safe, I obviously need the combination for it, something, I need to find it. So by standing in front of one of the mirrors in that room, you're prompted to use the monkey mask, the monkey mask of truth, and I think you activate it via triangle. Like you can rotate on the spot. So that's the thing I forgot to talk about, but you don't walk freely. So you have you move the cursor around, and you press the X button to interact, and you move to like that spot, and you can't really move, you just have to like click from predetermined spots, if that makes sense. So anyway, I activated the monkey mask of truth, and I saw this apparition with a Japanese mask standing in front of the safe. Actually, it wasn't a safe, now that I think about it. That's in the other room. So there was like this trunk. That's more correctly. So I looked at the trunk, and there's like this thing, like a slide thing you need to put into it. So I went to the other room and looked at the fireplace, and I found that they stop up like the timber, or like like firewood. And I found this emblem of gold, and I figured that was important. And I went around and I found a safe, and there's like this code that you need for it. So the game yet again prompted me to look around, and I looked about the fireplace with the monkey mask of truth, and there was this weird kind of guy glued to the wall in an unnatural pose. It was not like a jump scare, but it's like an uncomfortable situation. And for some reason, I realized that I could hide in the closet, and I realized that, okay, there's probably gonna be someone chasing me or something. So I went back into the other room, and I found out that like that golden emblem thing fits on the trunk, and I opened up the trunk and I got some information. I think I got the safe combinations. I opened up the safe, and when I went back into the hallway, I didn't realize this at first, but the music kind of changed and I had to run. So I ran into one of the rooms and I hide like in a closet, and the murderer came out and just killed me, this guy or girl in a mask. So I had to retry that, obviously, and I got one of the bad endings because I died, I guess. And so this murderer comes up from the stairs like the woodcutter man, and you're supposed to jump out of the window. And that's obviously the logical choice. When you're chased by someone, you jump out of the window because you can't hide under the bed or whatever. So you jump down and you fall to the ground and you get knocked unconscious. And you end up in this wintry landscape where there are like lanterns and stuff. And I didn't really know how this puzzle would pan out. But you're supposed to follow the lanterns, and there are these raven or crow birds or whatever. So I eventually find myself into it's like a metal kind of bunker door. And I went down, and this like a bouncer character also with a Japanese mask just was staring at me, not saying anything. And I just passed through the door, and then I kind of woke up at the ground outside. So a normal reaction from falling out a window chased by a murderer would probably be like, leave this place, let the police handle this. But no, not this girl, not this reporter. She goes into one of the windows and continues to do her thing, snoop around and finding stuff. So there's one of these puzzles. You need to get batteries for a flashlight, and there's some, like containers involved and whatnot. And you eventually make it down into the basement, and the killer is obviously hunting you down there, but you bar the door behind you. And that's pretty much when I'm gonna stop talking about this game. So this game is not very long. It's about 2.5 hours of playtime, but so gameplay. Help the reporter survive the whole deal and figure out what's going on. Control, the left stick is the camera, look around, and if you press the X button, you move to like certain spots if that is highlighted, if that makes sense. And the square button brings up the objects that you got in the documents and profiles and everything. It's a huge mess of a inventory to go through. Graphics. So this game looks like it was made in Unity engine. I don't really know, but a lot of these projects are made in that engine. So the graphics are actually kind of bland and simple, but it's actually in the game's favor because it makes it scarier, the simplicity of it all. Easter eggs, secrets, and glitches. I couldn't find any secrets or glitches, so I'm just gonna move on with this. So in conclusion, I wrote no, don't play this. There are some creepy, scary moments, and overall some good jump scares, and the puzzles are relatively easy. It's like a linear kind of thing where you find things and you just have to read a whole lot. And that's the negative thing about this. There's a lot of reading and a lot of information to take in. The questions between the scenes are not actually hard, but it helps if you read all the text, which, as I said before, is a lot. And another point is the voice acting. It's actually kind of bad. The voice actress that plays the reporter isn't really giving it like everything. It's just like, oh, well, I went to the grocery store and I picked up some onions, and like in this like monotone. It's probably, as I said, like an indie project, so it's not that big of a deal, but a lot of more effort on that would have been to make the game more like immersive and whatnot. But I don't think I have anything else to say about this game. So anyway, thanks for listening and or watching, and take care.